Hello, all you people out there in podcast land. This is Texas Tom. In today's episode, we're going to talk about politics, current events, and things going on right now. Hello, all. We're back again, and this time to address something near and dear to my heart. The myth of debt. That's right, you heard me say it. It's a myth. We all know what debt is, and we've all had debt at some point in our lives. But this, as it is, pertains to our nation. Is debt really something we have to worry about? Well, let's take a look at the logic behind it. As defined in Webster's dictionary, debt is, quote, something, typically money, that is owed or due, or, another quote, the state of owing money, or even a feeling of gratitude for service or favor. But as a nation, do we really owe money to someone or some entity? And remember, I said as a nation, not as an individual that has borrowed money and is contracting with somebody. If you're to ask our politicians, well, they'll of course tell you yes, that we owe money to the Federal Reserve. Now, the Federal Reserve is a banking institution that was put into place in 1913 when Woodrow Wilson, president at that time, signed our monetary system over to them to handle printing our money. Before that time, the country adhered to our Constitution, which in Article 1, Section 8 mandates that the Congress is to coin all money, or in other words, print all money. That all changed in 1913 when Wilson decided, probably for some nefarious reason, that the banking community was better suited to handle our nation's money. From that time forward, our money has diminished into where we are now. The dollar is now worth a fraction of what it used to be worth. And moving forward, it's expected to be on a steady decline. Well, thanks, Wilson, for giving our nation's value over to banking cartels. And as we look at it, devaluing the dollar through inflation has the effect of causing the average citizen to have to work harder for essentials. In 1913, a dollar was worth $1. Because of the rate of inflation, our dollar that was worth approximately 2,453% more in 1913 than today is worth much less. Another way to look at it would be that in today's dollars, it would take 25 of them to equal what $1 would have bought in 1913. One has to wonder why that Wilson would have ever done this and why the banks were so interested in taking over our monetary system. Well, if you have control of a nation's monetary system, you got control of the nation. You can devalue the dollar and cause the citizens to have to work many times harder and longer just to be able to live. In essence, you're enslaving the citizens. Another benefit to the bankers is that as inflation rises, the average citizen is no longer able to buy a house. In order to be able to have a home, citizens must then borrow money from the very banks that devalue their money to begin with. Now you have a citizen that is in debt to the banks that are devaluing his money and then charging him interest on the money that he owes in order to live. What a scam. But let's take a step back for a minute. Let's return to the premise that our nation owes banking cartels, aka the Federal Reserve, money that the Federal Reserve has lent us after taking over a monetary system. When our nation, or our politicians, need money, they turn to the Federal Reserve and they borrow it. Put that in quotes. We need to put the word borrows in quotes because how can you borrow something that you already own? The Federal Reserve was charged with printing our money, and that's all. The Federal Reserve has no intrinsic value of their own. We own the printing presses, we own the ink, we own the paper, we own the computers, and we own it all. We're just asking them to print it for us. It is we, the people, that have all the value in this nation. Our work and our services hold all the value, and not some banking cartel. All in all, logic dictates that we really do not owe anyone anything. It's a ruse. It's a fake. It's not real debt. And it has been used by the banking cartels and our government to control us for many decades. to convince us that we are indebted and slaves. The Federal Reserve prints our money and lends it to us. What a scam, eh? Once you begin to have a mindset that understands that we the people own it all the value, all the land, everything, then when the fog of deceit clears, you begin to understand that we the people have the power and we can take back what is ours. Debt is that big scary thing that you hear a lot about on mainstream news. The fake news people, you know. They use it to scare us into submission and as a control mechanism. Open your minds and stay alert, my friends. It will probably get worse before it gets better. Thank you, and until next time, stay frosty.